Hey, good morning. And I am with a very, very special person today, Johann Peiris, proprietor of Cutting Station as well. Uh, Needs really no introduction, either the business or the gentleman. But gone from that then to accomplished mountaineer. I mean, my goodness, before we get to literally and figuratively the heights you have reached, tell us how the transition came from that,
So
from
actually,
stylist to mountaineer.
stylist has been my profession from the time I left school. I
Right,
got into that, and that was my profession. I was contemplating between architecture and that, and of
right.
course, both in the field of artistry.
Hmm.
And I then took to hairdressing and established my business. I was with company for a while, and then I established my business. But climbing is something that has been there from my small days itself.
Right,
My dad is the one who got me into it, who is still the interest of climbing
okay,
mountains.
okay,
We used to go and do these mountains which nobody went to in Sri Lanka,
right,
and or who would find it difficult to
right.
go and conquer. And
With the proper safety precautions, or you just thought, no, I'm going to climb
no,
this?
we go and then we actually find villagers from the area who could
All right,
actually show us the right path and take us the
right,
right way.
right.
Um, and we did that, and that was a lot of fun. So
I can
that's how
imagine.
the interest came into me, and then of course I took it further from
I mean,
there.
boy, oh boy, did you take it further. Now, for those of you who may not know, Johan is engaged in a program called Seven Summits, literally the highest peak in every continent, and you've conquered six of them.
That's right. I've got one more left.
What was the very first one? Run us through the six from start to
In
finish.
the order that I have done it, actually, the first one was Kilimanjaro because that was done as a training, also to test our bodies to see if our bodies were able to withstand the cold and the altitude.
Right.
And then from there, I went to Mount Everest.
Wow, not
Straight off to
wasting
the
any
big
time.
one.
The big one.
Yeah.
Never mind the other six. I'm going to get this out of the way.
So at that time the intention wasn't. I didn't even know about the seven summits. I knew that there was a thing called the seven summits, but
Right.
that wasn't the intention.
Okay.
It was just about climbing Everest and to see whether, as Sri Lankans, it was possible for us to do Everest. But once we did that, of course, the first time I couldn't go. I had to turn around 400 meters before because of
Ooh, 400 meters before the summit.
just 400 meters. I could see the summit in front of me. I had to turn around simply because there was a mistake that was made in the oxygen tank that was put on me, and I had to turn back. But I didn't give up. I went back 2 years later and I summited Mount Everest. And then, of course, the question was, what next?
I mean, you climbed the highest peak, literally.
Yeah, and people kept asking, what next? And I wanted to do something that challenged myself, that gave me a challenge to keep going as well. And I decided, why not give it a shot? See the seven summits, see whether it is possible for us to do it.
Right.
Because only 350 people, approximately 350 people in the world have done it,
Have climbed seven.
have done the seven
But
summits in history.
in history, but has any Sri Lankan ever
No,
accomplished
they
it?
haven't
No.
eventually.
So
Yeah.
if you end up with the seventh, which I'm sure you will, you will become the first Sri Lankan to do it.
I will, but that is not the intention. I'm not doing it with the intention of being the first Sri Lankan. My goal is slightly different. It is to take the Sri Lankan flag to the
Right.
seven corners of the world, to prove to the world also that we are a resilient people
Absolutely. There you
and
go.
that we are able to achieve anything that is thrown our way.
Withstand
might
and
be,
achieve.
absolutely, we might be a small little dot in the ocean, but we are mighty when it
Exactly.
comes to challenges.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's what I'm trying to prove to the world. Yeah.
Wow. And you've done it now 6 times over.
Yes.
One more to go. Right.
more to
Your
go.
recent trip
Yes.
was to Argentina,
Yes,
and,
but before that was Antarctica.
Antarctica. Exactly. How was that? I mean, and I'm sure any summit in the world, it's not going to get any warmer. When
No.
you get up there, it'll always be colder. But places like Everest, places like Antarctica, as a Sri Lankan, how did your body conform to the extreme cold?
So that was one of the biggest challenges. Antarctica is known to be the coldest place on Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, just getting to Antarctica, where there's no civilization, it's uninhabited land.
Yeah.
There
No
are no
backup.
animals. There's nothing there. Yeah, and to get there, the thought of actually going to Antarctica was exciting for me.
Right.
and learning about the infrastructure, how they take you there, even just plane landing. Yeah, it's a Boeing 757 that lands on blue ice, and then you wonder how do they do this? That alone, everything
Really
was
pushing the
really
envelope.
exactly. So that was really exciting for me, and the infrastructure there and how it's done, and it felt like when I went there, it felt like I had landed in Mars on another planet.
I can imagine.
Everything, the trucks that come to pick you up, everything is like out of a movie, and actually being able to experience that was amazing. But the cold itself is something that I have got used to, and I have prepared
Right.
myself now that I have been going.
Yeah.
I know what to expect. I learn about it, and I'm very, very careful about it because it can be detrimental
Of course.
if you
Of course.
if you don't take it.
It can be quite fatal.
Yes.
I mean, from going from Antarctica then to Argentina, you probably climbed up, your tank top.
That was
You can take the cold now.
no, but even Argentina is very cold.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
Like
it
I
can
said,
be very cold.
any
because
summit.
It's a 7,000-meter peak.
Wow.
Yeah, it's much higher than even the peak in Antarctica. But actually, one of the things that was really challenging for me
Mhm.
in the two climbs was transitioning between one to the other. Yeah, and I had kept a 10-day break, and I lost the 10 days because of bad weather.
Oh,
And I just had 2 days to recover, and that was challenging. That was
Wow.
really challenging. I had injuries, my toes were bleeding,
Of
my
course.
nails were falling off, and I had to keep going. And for a moment, I thought, when I landed in Argentina, I was wondering, like, can I really do this? But thank God, I was able to recover in 2 days, and I was able to get going. I was determined not to give up, just like that.
wonderful, wonderful news indeed. Finally, Johan, your advice now. Mountain climbing is not something that is akin to Sri Lankans per se, but there are quite a few, mountain enthusiasts in
Yes,
this country as
and
well,
especially the
hiking
young.
enthusiasts, the
Yes,
young, exactly.
the young crowd.
What advice would you hand over to them, having climbed 6 out of the 7 peaks?
Yes, so I think the interest has really built up. The hiking interest, the climbing interest has really built up in Sri Lanka, and I think that's an amazing thing. There's so much of opportunity here as well
True.
for us in developing that area as a sport,
Mhm.
and also in the tourism sector. There's so many different areas that we can develop. Yeah, there's a huge tourism sector that can be developed for adventure tourism,
True.
and that is something that I am trying to get involved and do as well with the government. So I'm hoping that will work out. But for the young ones who are starting, I always say, and I always keep saying, there's always a place to start off. Start here. Start small.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's where you start. That's where I started. To start small, take that first step, and once you get in there,
Yeah.
you're in it.
True,
Yeah.
true. Once it gets
And,
into your system, that's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And really learn about what you have to do. Just don't go into it
Exactly. It's a dangerous sport as well.
unknowingly.
Yeah.
It is. It is. Know what the dangers are. Know what the challenges you're facing.
Do your research.
Do your research. We are there now.
Yeah.
I'm there. I've always just opened it out and said, anybody. I had a few calls from way out, from Kakirava and
Mhm.
Anuradhapura and all that, and I was so happy when I got those calls from people, asking me questions.
Now the
and-
interest has generated.
Exactly, and
Wonderful.
I'm willing to give out anything. I'm willing to even take them and go and train them. So we are there. The information is there. Do that. Have the knowledge before you start off, and don't give up on your goal. Start with that first step, and you will reach to the top.
Lovely. We wish you all the best, Johan, in that 7th and final climb. Thank you so much for being with us on GoldFM.
Thank you for having me.